I'm wondering what you make of the fact that following your announcement of your resignation, the Liberal Party started to do much better and is doing much better in the polls. What do you make of that? What lessons have you learned?
Justin Trudeau's time is extremely limited still as Prime Minister and being any sort of relevant here in Canada for, albeit all the wrong reasons. A reporter destroys him to his face. Hey, Mr. Trudeau. Yeah, the polls really skyrocketed after you announced your resignation. You suck. How does it feel to know now, tangibly, with proof, objectively, that you suck? It's freaking priceless. It's absolutely hilarious. So we're taking a look at that. We're taking a look at one of his cabinet ministers, François Champagne, the little chihuahua, how he's actually straight up lying, and then also how Canada is doomed mostly because of Justin Trudeau and how the tariffs are coming on very, very soon. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. And I do want to ask if there's anybody out there who can sneak me into the BC Conservative ALGR thing that's happening in Nanaimo. Please let me know, because I'm not very far from Nanaimo right now, and I'm going to be in the area today and tomorrow, and it would be pretty cool if I could sneak in. I have absolutely no real idea of what they're talking about, but it'd be cool to be there because I know there's also going to be other creators there and people that I know. So yeah, if you know anyone, just shoot me an email, or if you're working at the table, just sneak me in. What's the worst that can happen? Without further ado, let's get right into this video, shall we? Starting off with François Champagne, the Chihuahua, who's lying. Let's take a look at what he says, and then let's break down what he's lying about.
President Trump again brought up today that if Canada can't subsist without American trade, it should just become a 51st state. Is that kind of rhetoric making it difficult to have these negotiations to delay the tariffs?
Well, on one end you have the rhetoric, and the other end you have the industrial reality. There's a reasons why you have the aluminum smelters in Canada. There's a reason why you have steel smelters in Canada. We have the best workers, we have the energy, we have the know-how to do that, and therefore the supply chain are more integrated, that you find in the world. So we are interdependent, despite what may be said. The reality on the ground, when you talk to the CEOs, when you talk to the small and medium-sized businesses who have been doing trade for more than a century, they would say that it's essential. We are the largest customer to the United States. That's what I say when I go to, I hope you're happy to see me, because we buy more from them than China, Japan, the UK, and France combined. So this is a fact we should never lose sight. You never go to Washington looking down you know, elbows down. You go and you say up. You know, we are a big country. We're a G7 country. We're a large economy. I can tell you, I even had U.S. companies that said we're thinking about coming to Canada now, because if there would be issues around the border, we want to make sure we can solve. This is a 41 million population. It's a big country, big market for a number of goods, and therefore, and we always remind our American friends that they have a trade surplus with Canada if you exclude energy. So we're in a strong position. We have to be confident. We have to be resilient, and we're going to invest in Canada.
Okay, so what is he lying about? Well, this was shared by Ron Butler, the angry mortgage guy. And I love to watch his stuff and to follow his posts on X. He says, hey, Minister Champagne, liar, liar, pants on fire. No American business is planning on moving their operations to Canada. And I absolutely agree with that. There is no one that's saying from a tax advantage, from any advantage, a rent advantage, any assets or employee advantage. Nobody's rushing from other parts of the world, or even America specifically, going, yeah, no, we really need to leave America and go to Canada because we get way better taxes there and it's just way better for business. That's not happening. Like, literally not a single business would be doing that. If you're in a business to run a deficit forever and you want to pay exorbitant amount of taxes, then yeah, sure. But that would literally be career suicide. So that nobody is doing that. I don't appreciate how these ministers are lying to us. They're ruining this country, and we freaking need to turn this around, man. Or Canada, I don't know what else is going to happen. I don't know if it's going to collapse the way that Rome has once collapsed, but it's pretty bad. We're on the verge of being pretty much bankrupt. In fact, the Bank of Canada governor, Tim Macklin, said, we're screwed. We're absolutely screwed. Haha, we're screwed. Speaking of screwed, Justin Trudeau, he's screwed. I love it. I love it so much. Here he is getting destroyed by a reporter right to his smug face.
Good afternoon, Mr. Prime Minister. Matt Grillo with CTV News. I'm wondering what you make of the fact that following your announcement of your resignation, the Liberal Party started to do much better and is doing much better in the polls. What do you make of that? What lessons have you learned?
I have consistently said for many years now that as we approach an election, as Canadians actually reflect on the choice being offered to them between a party that has governed this country responsibly, created a strong economy that has the best balance sheet of the G7, lifted hundreds of thousands of kids out of poverty, created jobs, protected the environment, stepped up on fighting climate change in partnership with Indigenous peoples, moved forward on reconciliation, have been responsible and ambitious for this country, versus a party in the Conservatives that just shrug and say everything's broken, that don't believe in taking action against climate change, that don't believe in Indigenous reconciliation, that don't understand that the only way to build a strong economy is to invest in the people that actually make up that economy. The Conservatives continue to push trickle-down theories and tax breaks for the rich while couching it in the language of populism. I've said consistently for years now that as Canadians get closer to actually making a decision about the kind of country they want to live in, the kind of responsible government they want to have, with ambition but grounded in facts and evidence and data, not ideology, that Canadians would take a very careful look at what the different parties are offering and make a responsible choice about moving forward in the right way for Canada at a time where the world is increasingly uncertain and we need thoughtful, rational governance here in Canada.
I'm wondering, following the Four Nations face-off, have you spoken at all with Wayne Gretzky?
I have not.
Dude, Wayne Gretzky got booed. Oh my goodness, he got booed. So did our anthem. So did all of our players. And then we whooped their butts by 1 point in overtime. But still, I mean, can't believe Gretzky got booed, man.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Prime Minister. Vanessa Lee with CBC News. In the last few weeks, you seem to be shoring up pieces of your legacy. There's the apology to Inuit families, first pharmacare deal, and your announcement today. What are you still hoping to complete?
The thing that makes Canada the best country in the world isn't that it's perfect. It's that every single day we commit ourselves to the idea that we can be even better than we already are. There is so much more to do in Canada. So much so that sometimes we don't adequately take a moment to pause and reflect on just how much we have accomplished over the past decades and generations as a country. But there's always more to do. And every single day I get to continue to be Prime Minister, I'm going to look to do everything I can to make this country even better, because that's the promise I made to Canadians when I became leader of the Liberal Party back in 2013. And that's a promise that I have stuck with every single day I've had the privilege of serving as Prime Minister. So I'm not slowing down, not for a minute.
And with regards to the tariffs, how are Canadian businesses supposed to cope with this uncertainty? And what is your message to Canadian businesses who are worried that they're not going to be able to survive?
Well, I think one of the messages that has been made clear to businesses across this country and by governments, but not only by governments, by Canadians, is that in this country, we stick up for each other. The number of people who are making choices to buy Canadian, to support a local producer, to buy local agricultural products, businesses that are looking to strengthen their supply chains to include small businesses from across this country instead of south of the border. You know, Canada's a country that has faced challenges before all throughout our history. Hell, every winter is a challenge for Canadians, and we learn how to get through it by pulling together, by leaning on each other. That's what we did in COVID. That's what we did through global conflicts. That's what we do around fighting climate change. And that's what we do when we're facing economic hardships like a potential trade conflict with the United States. So yeah, if tariffs get brought in, it's going to be hard on Canadians and Canadian businesses. It'll also be hard on Americans and American businesses, which is a point we're busy making south of the border every chance we get. But Canadians will pull together. Governments will be there to support businesses and individuals who are hardest hit to make sure that we get through this the way we always will.
The fact that they keep saying that governments are going to be there to support those who are hardest hit just tells me that we are not going to have an election anytime soon. Like we're just not, because this is the same things that Mark Carney has been saying. It's the same things that Jack Meat has been saying. And the only way for that to happen, for that support package to happen, is if they continue a coalition. Even though Justin Trudeau is not there, there will likely still be a coalition. So Trudeau is on his way out. It's almost there. And his mentality is, Canada's got this. I've made your life miserable for the past 9 years. And even though you can't afford a whole lot right now, it's going to get worse. But hey, guys, you got this. Good luck. Well, President Trump has this to say about Canada. For those that missed it, Justin Trudeau, in that same speech that we didn't cover in this video, but I covered in the previous video, Justin Trudeau said only 1% of fentanyl found in America comes from Canada. Well, Trump disagrees, and he says that there hasn't been any progress with securing the border and fighting the flow of fentanyl.
From the talks with Canada and Mexico so far, are you not seeing the progress that you wanted in order to
I don't see it at all. No, not on drugs. We've done a great job. If you look at Tom Homan, he's been incredible, and Christie, they've done a great job in terms of the border. But the drugs continue to pour into our country, killing hundreds of thousands of people. We're losing substantially more than 100,000 people. I mean, dead. They're dead. The families are destroyed after that happens. So it's, it's not just that. That's the ultimate. But the families are absolutely destroyed. The drugs come in through Mexico. They come, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them come from China. And that's why we did that. It's 10 plus 10. In case, was there confusion on that?
There was, sir, yeah.
Okay, 10 plus 10. It's a second 10. And I think I think you're going to see, eventually you're going to see drugs stopping, because the country should not be allowing those drugs to come into the United States of America, and we're not going to allow it to happen. So that goes on the 4th of March. And then on the 2nd of April, we have reciprocal tariffs. That's reciprocal, where we charge countries what they're charging us, and nobody should have a problem with that. We have reciprocal. It's reciprocity. It's something that I think everybody I've spoken to said that's fair, and it is. If somebody charges us 25%, we charge them 25. If somebody charges us 10 or 15 or 30 or 70, we charge them an exact like amount. And it's pretty simple, but it's reciprocal tariffs, because the United States has been taken advantage of by many, many different countries, including our friends, friend and foe. And in many cases, our friends took bigger advantage of. When you talk about the EU, we're talking about the EU. The EU has been really very bad to us in terms of trade. And I'm a different kind of a president. I can't let that happen. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's not going to get easier for Canada. It really will not. I mean, we're in for some hard times for the next little while. And it's actually happening. For those that missed it, Trump is 100% going forward with these tariffs. So it will 100% get more difficult. The cost of life is going to get more difficult. Price of everything is probably going to go up. And if the Liberals do stay in power, which it seems like they're going to extend that for as long as they possibly can, we're going to see some carbon tax increases. So let's take a look now at, what Canadian officials at the White House say for Trump and how they're confirming that everything is moving forward.
Canada is out in full force to stop U.S. tariffs. Canada's public safety minister, its new fentanyl czar, and top officials from the Border Agency and RCMP are in Washington this hour, meeting with their U.S. counterparts. In those meetings, the Canadian delegation will address repeated complaints from President Donald Trump about fentanyl trafficking and illegal border crossings. Public Safety Minister David McGuinty spoke to us last hour ahead of those urgent discussions.
It's clear to us that a strong border makes for safer communities in Canada, and a stronger border makes for safer communities in the United States of America. That's ultimately what this is all about, keeping our people safe. This effort to reach out and engage our American counterparts will continue. Our work on the border will continue. Our efforts to cooperate will continue. They are yielding success. We are making progress. And this is the message that we're imparting to our colleagues here in the United States in this new administration.
Cameron McIntosh is on the story for us. He joins me now live from Washington. So, Cam, you were there asking questions to the public safety minister. What other information did you get?
Well, speaking to the public safety minister, speaking to Canadian officials here, this isn't one big meeting. This is a bunch of meetings with a bunch of officials across many departments, across here at the White House and across Washington. So the minister meeting with some high-level political people here today. Also, the head of the CBSA, the Canadian Border Services Agency, and the RCMP are also here. The big concern Donald Trump is expressing vis-a-vis the border with Canada is a bit about illegal crossings, but mostly about fentanyl, and that's really the message that they're bringing down here today. The new fentanyl czar, Kevin Brosseau, is also part of this delegation. They're talking not just about cooperating at the border and, trying to describe what more Canada can do, but progress that's being made. So really no mistake yesterday, or no coincidence yesterday, that the RCMP announced the results of a month-long fentanyl sting yesterday, just prior to this meeting, announcing that it had seized 47 kilograms of fentanyl, about 16,000 pills, and made more than 500 arrests. They're basically coming down with that message to basically show their work, to show the Americans what they're doing, what progress is being made. Here now is more from the fentanyl czar, Kevin Brosseau.
Two key elements in my mandate. First is to ensure integration and collaboration, and I think we just heard two examples actually about how the integration is happening, both from the CBSA and the RCMP and a number of policing partners from across Canada. The second part is to work with American officials, American enforcement counterparts, to be able to drive that action between the agencies, between Canada and the U.S.
So meetings for Canadian officials include meetings with the FBI and the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency here in the United States. Again, talking about cooperation and talking about how the two countries can work better. And again, just trying to get the message into as many officials' ears as possible that Canada is a willing partner with the United States and that tariffs do not really benefit either country.
And Cam, despite the efforts we're seeing from multiple Canadian agencies on this front, Donald Trump affirmed his pledge to slap Canadian goods with tariffs this morning, and that's even before the meetings got underway. What more is he saying?
Well, just moments before the meeting, Donald Trump cleared up any confusion, and there's been confusion this week about those March 4th tariffs, a sweeping 25% tariff on all Canadian goods that Donald Trump seems to have really tied to fentanyl and the border with Canada. Basically, he came out and posted onto his site that drugs are pouring in, I'm quoting him here, drugs are still pouring into our country from Mexico and Canada at very high and unacceptable levels. It's a long post. He goes on to say that until it stops or is seriously limited, the proposed tariff scheduled to go into effect on March 4th will indeed go into effect. So that is the stance from the president. Basically, his administration is saying he needs to be convinced that things are improving. He needs to be convinced that Canada is working towards this. And right now, at least publicly, they're saying that the president just has not been convinced.
Cam, thanks for tracking all.
That is not good. The fact that he hasn't been convinced of anything, any progress, is a horrible, horrible sign for Canada. So it seems like even though some of the tariffs did get delayed until April 2nd, that we are likely going to experience a trade war with America. That's not what anybody wants. As per the reporters, it doesn't benefit anybody because it's just going to be dollar for dollar, and prices here in Canada are going to go up and prices in America are going to go up. And it's not just Canada that America's picking this trade war with. It's so many other countries, Mexico, China, and blah, 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 all except Russia, which is interesting. But I mean, that's a story for another day. I don't like this. I think it stinks, but hey, at least Justin Trudeau is on his way out. So we have some positive news here in Canada. But this being the end of the video, I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments about any of the topics that were covered. And if you haven't yet already, I'd like to encourage you guys to hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.